You know that I've been to China. I adopted my daughter Gia in China, and I can't imagine a place being worse than China when it comes to civil rights, when it comes to freedom. But there are places out there, and one of those places is North Korea. That's where my guest Yeonmi Park comes from. She is a North Korean defector. She's an author. The name of the book is While Time Remains: A North Korean Defector's Search for Freedom in America. Yeonmi, so nice to meet you. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me on your show.
You're very welcome. Now, I don't understand how anybody gets away from North Korea. And here's what I mean. I'm not from there. I haven't been there, but I've learned as much as I can about it. And this family, the Kim family, is so horrible that you don't even know what your rights are. You don't know what freedom is. When you are raised in North Korea, do you have a concept of what freedom is?
No, that's a thing. Like if humans do not have the vocabulary, the word, they don't understand the concept, and that's why these dictatorships are so obsessed with getting rid of certain vocabulary, getting rid of certain like idea.
Right.
So when I was in North Korea, I had no idea I was oppressed even because that was not a word for us to use to describe our situation.
There is no word for freedom?
No word for freedom, and there's no word for love. The
Wow.
only love that North Koreans are allowed to know is the love for the dictator, not for your parents or your partner or your children.
So when you're being raised, obviously you were born, you've got parents. When you're being
Mm-hmm.
raised, you look at the Kim family. It might have been Kim Jong-il, it might have been Kim Jong-un. I'm not sure who it was. But you look to them as your higher power?
Yeah, I mean, the first thing that school teachers teach you that the most important father that you have is not your biological father, but my dear leader. He is the
Wow.
most important in your life, and your life mission is serving him and serving the Communist Party of the country.
That is amazing. And is it true that you've got to have his picture everywhere?
So yes, North Korea, even the trains and every room has have portraits of Kims, the Kim Jong Il, Kim Il Sung, Kim Jong Un, and if the portraits got a little bit of dust on the corner, and if you get caught by the officials, that's how you send to Porcupine prison camp in North Korea.
That is unbelievable. So everywhere has to represent that he is it like his eyes are observing you at all times? Or is it about holding him up like he's a god of some sort?
Yeah, so like if there's a newspaper and somebody didn't see that front page and then rip the newspaper and that had pictures of Kim's and you get killed for that.
What?
So they are beyond God. In a way, it's beyond worshiping a God. You can never say a one word that is wrong. If you say one word that was not respectful and loyal to the regime, they are going to kill up to 8 generations of your family.
Oh my lord.
Murdering, raping is not a serious crime in North Korea. The most serious crime is committing a political crime, which is not cleaning the portraits or you say something that is not approved by the regime. And those are the crimes why North Koreans are get persecuted.
Her name is Yeonmi Park. It's YEONMI.com. The book is While Time Remains, a North Korean defector's search for freedom in America. So, Yeonmi, do you live in a society where people are always listening and watching what you do and they'll tell on you to the government?
Yeah, the first thing my mom told me as a younger was don't even whisper because the birds and mice could hear me.
Wow.
And we are always afraid that we never knew in what corner the spies were listening and would report us. So we were like taught to not even think about it. And thought crime is real because the regime brainwashed the people to tell us that Kims are gods. They have a superpower to read your thoughts and know what you're doing. So we are even afraid to think. Basically, they copied the Bible. They said Kim Il Sung was our God, loved us so much, gave us his son Kim Jong Il. His
Wow.
body dies, but his spirit never dies. And that's how he knows what we are thinking in our head. So we are not even allowed to think about things freely.
And obviously they can't know what you're thinking, but if they convince you that they can, you'll stop thinking it.
Exactly. They
It's
do.
it's crazy. It's Yeonmi Park, and again, she defected from North Korea. I have no idea how you did this. You appear to me to be a woman at about 20, 25 years old. I don't know how old you are, but at somebody as young as you are, how did you get away? How did you know that there was something different? If that's the life that you're raised to believe is what life is, what made you think there's something else out there?
I did not even know the map of the world. I never knew even what
I have
internet
to stop
was.
you. In school in North Korea, you're not taught the map of the world?
No, they don't even teach me that I'm Asian. They teach
What?
me that I am my dear leader's race, Kim Il Sung race. And they don't show us a real picture of different race in the world. So we don't even know that. And not only that, the North Koreans don't have any freedom of movement within the country. We are not allowed to go to next town without a permit. So North Koreans have no clue how big the world is and what are the like planet system, different stars. We have no clue about that.
The Kim family, Yeonmi, says that they are the race?
Yes, they created
Wow.
our race. So I am Kim Il Sung's race. That's what they taught me.
That is
And their
sick.
yeah, North Korean calendar begins when Kim Il Sung was born. That's how they tell us the humanity began with his birth.
Did you
He
know there
gave
was did you know there was a South Korea?
I knew about South Korea, but they told us that South Koreans were raped and killed by American bastards
Oh,
and
wow.
colonized by them. And they
Wow.
told us that the Americans were cold-blooded reptile monsters. They would eat our babies, would take off our teeth and torture us and burn us. They are monsters. So they told us we are so lucky that we have our dear leader keeping us safe and fighting against Americans. So
The,
we thought that Americans was the most evil thing in the world.
so you didn't even know where America was though.
No, I did not. I never seen the map.
It's crazy. It's Yeonmi Park. Go to yeonmi.com, yeonmi.com. Get her book. It's called While Time Remains, a North Korean Defector's Search for Freedom in America. So you didn't know that there was the whole world was what it is. You didn't know what Americans really were. You didn't know that people looked different than you and had different ancestry and had different racial backgrounds. You thought that everything was right there in North Korea. That was all of life. So what gave you in your belly the reason to say, maybe I should leave here?
It was just starvation, hunger. I was really, really hungry, and North Koreans are 5 inch shorter than South Koreans on
Really?
average. Yeah. So because of the malnutrition is the main drive why North Koreans is escaping from the country. And luckily, I was living in the border town of North Korea,
Okay.
where I could see lights coming from China at nighttime. Have you ever seen the picture of North Korea, a satellite picture of North Korea at night?
Yes, it's completely
It's,
dark.
yeah, it's the darkest place in the world. They do not even have electricity in the 21st century.
Why not?
They can't afford it. Nothing worse is a socialism. They
Wow.
don't know even how to build that.
So
So
you
we,
saw the lights of China. What city in
yeah,
China is it? Right, that's right there.
it was Yalu River, so it was a Tangbai. It's a Jilin like a province. So the Chinese border town, something called the Tangbai city, and I was able to see lights at nighttime coming from that side. And we thought if we go where the lights were, we could find a bowl of rice, and that's how we escaped.
You literally left to find a bowl of rice.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's unbelievable. So you saw the lights. Did you know it was a different country? Did you know it was China?
I knew it was China because the regime told us about Japanese colonialists, American bastards, and China. That's all about I knew
And
about the
were you taught
world.
that China was bad?
There were times they were criticizing China that how China abandoned the socialism through communism and then embracing this corrupt capitalist system of like free market. But then there were times where China is our brothers and allies, we would die with them. So the regime was constantly changing their
Yeah.
position on China.
Crazy. It's
Yeah.
Yeonmi Park. Go to yeonmi.com. Get her book. It's called While Time Remains, a North Korean Defector's Search for Freedom in America. So you wanted a bowl of rice. You went to where the lights are. It can't be easy. Were you by yourself, first of all? Secondly, are there big fences? Is there barbed wire? Is there some barrier stopping you from leaving?
Yes, there's a border guards every 10 meters with a machine gun standing there.
Wow.
And it's a shoot to kill order. If you see anybody, you can shoot them and kill them right there. And of course, the barbed wires and the river between China and North Korea. However, I found a lady that willing to help me to go to China.
Right.
And I didn't question why she was helping me. She bribed the border guards, and that's how I was able to cross that river into China
Were you
with
by
my
yourself?
mother. I was initially escaped from with my mother and then got separated in China when
Oh
I was
no.
13 years old.
Do you know? Have you reunited with her?
Yes, I found
Thank
her
God.
later in China. Yes.
All right, so you make it to China, and again, when I went to China, I had to sign a bunch of papers and give them a bunch of money, and I adopted my daughter Gia. It was not a very free country, in my opinion, and they tried to show me what was more Americanized about China, but luckily I had a friend from China that showed us really what China was. It is not, I mean, it's better than North Korea by a lot, but it's not America. So how do you go from there to here?
Yeah, the China for North Korean defectors is in a way a little bit worse than North Korea
Really?
because we are fugitives. We are not recognized by China as political refugees. So if the authorities catch us, then they send us back to North Korea. But sending back North Koreans to their countries like catching Jew and sending them to Auschwitz.
Wow.
We're gonna get tortured and executed and get raped. So the best scenario for us is killing ourselves and without getting captured. But the other, because of our vulnerability, there are groups in China sell North Korean girls as sex slaves. So they sold my mother for $65 as a sex slave,
Oh my God.
and they sold me for around $200 as a sex slave, and they sold us separately.
I'm so sorry. So you're in China, they caught you. Instead of sending you back, they sold you as a sex slave? How do you
Yeah,
get,
because
Yeonmi, again, can I ask how old you are? Is that okay?
now I'm 29. I was 13 at the time.
You look so young to me. I can't believe that this happened to you. This is an unbelievable story. And thank God you're okay and that you're telling this story. Get the book, While Time Remains, a North Korean Defector's Search for Freedom in America. How on God's green earth did you leave this slavery that you were put in and your mother was put in? And how did you get out? Because again, China is not going to say, okay, we'll send you to America now. Did you have to
Right.
escape from China?
Yes, by
Wow.
after 2 years of slavery, when I was 15 years old, I met Christians from South Korea. They told us that there was a way out to freedom, and they said we had to walk across the frozen Gobi Desert into Mongolia from China. And if by some luck we make that journey in the desert, then we go to Mongolia, and there we could find asylum and go to South Korea. And that's what we did.
So,
I walked.
so you met some people from South Korea in China. They said, here's
Yeah.
how you do it. If you can make it to Mongolia, we'll help you out.
Yeah, the Mongolian government was going to help us out. So these Christians were just giving us information that China was not friendly to refugees.
Right.
So we had to go to Mongolia, and they told us you have to go across this desert. So they gave us directions how to cross the desert.
And you walked across the desert and made it to Mongolia as a teenager. What the heck? That is amazing. It's amazing. Thank God you did it. Let me ask you something. I don't want to sound like a dumb American, but I've seen the parallel between North and South Korea. Can North Koreans escape that way, or there's no way?
If you are the border guards, maybe you know the geography a bit better, but that is the most heavily militarized zone in the world.
Yes.
There's so many landmines, so many electrified fences and machine guns on top of each other. American guards, South Korean guards, North Korean guards, right?
Right.
So there's a one time the border guard who escaped. I think he got shot like 15 times.
Oh,
So only few made, over the last 80 years successfully fled through the DMZ. So most likely it's just there's no chance, and also because I was in his hand, and if I don't get a travel permit, I cannot travel all the way to DMZ to go there, because inside North Korea there's no freedom to move around.
so
It
so
was
so
an
you were
impossible route.
so it wouldn't have made any sense anyway. You were too far away, but so you were right next to China. When you got into
Right.
China before they sold you into slavery, which is disgusting. Were your eyes open to look at all the lights, look at all the food, look at all the people? I mean, it had to be a complete shock to your system that the North Korean way wasn't the only way.
Yeah, it was. The first thing that I saw in China that I remember was looking at a trash can. And I did not know what it was because like there's something round thing and lady was throwing things away. Like, what is it? She's a trash can. Like, what is it? It's like things you don't need and you throw it away here.
Wow.
It's like in North Korea, there's no such a thing that you throw away. Even this hair comes out, we need to use it to start fire and cook meal. There's nothing.
You don't
that
throw. There's no
throws-
trash in North Korea.
There's no trash in North Korea.
What?
We are that poor.
And they made you, even if it was something that you didn't think was any use at all, they made you use it.
There is this, we are so poor. Like I never seen a mattress so like bad in my life.
What did
I've
you
never
sleep
even-
on?
on the cement floor.
Come on.
And we don't even know what shower is. We don't have running water or running sewage, so we had to go to the river or stream, and I had to carry the water on my neck. And
How
I
is this
mean, there's
possible?
no. It's like we don't even have windows. We have insulated like papers and plastics, and I never had like pajamas or different. I had like, one pair of clothes that I wore years, and patching through years of wearing it.
You wore
There's
it
no,
every day, night,
of
every day for
course.
years.
Yes.
Wow.
And of course, all my body was filled with the lice
Oh, I'll bet.
everywhere. It was, my hair was all over that was the first thing the Chinese actually did. They put tons of chemical on my body and stripped me away. And because I had so much lice from North Korea.
Unbelievable. It's Yeonmi Park. Go to yeonmi.com. Get her book. It's called While Time Remains, a North Korean defector's search for freedom in America. So you got to South Korea, and of course, South Korea is our friend. And South Korea must have been a shock as well because it's more of a democracy. It's more of a free place. It's certainly freer than China is. How long did you stay there, and then how did you end up here?
So I got to South Korea eventually and then stayed there for 5 years. And I came to America in 2016 to study at Columbia
I
University.
apologize. Is the language the same in South Korea as it is in North Korea?
Its grammars are almost same, but
Okay.
there's a lot of vocabulary that South Koreans have that North Koreans don't have. So it was a bit hard to understand the language in the beginning because, what is a smartphone? What is a credit card? There's like no
You honestly
concept
didn't
in
know what
North
any of
Korea.
that stuff was.
Of course, I don't even know what coffee is, right?
Wow.
So if
What?
it's like, do you drink coffee? Like, what's that? I don't know what that is. And
That's
so many,
amazing.
yeah,
How did you communicate when you got into China? Because the Chinese language is very different as well.
I had to learn. I had to learn to survive.
So you speak Chinese, you speak Korean, you speak English.
Yes,
You
yes,
had to you just adapted to everything.
yeah.
That's amazing. So you were 5 years in South Korea. What made you
Mhm.
think I want to go to America? Because now you could watch TV, you could hear
Right.
music, you understood that there was life away from what you were living in North Korea. Did you see
Mhm.
American, I don't know, pop culture or American? You heard about American freedom, and you thought I want to go there.
Yeah, I read a lot of books about America, and I was fascinated that there's a nation that is dedicated to respect individual liberty and protect individual liberty. What a concept, because in North Korea, you don't matter if you're individual, you only matter if you're part of collective. And
Wow.
individuals always get harassed and persecuted by the government. And there's a country in America where they are specifically exist to protect individual liberty. And I fell in love with this country to hear the Constitution. And literally, when I was reading the Constitution for the first time, I really cried. Like, how on earth that they say everybody has the same rights that is from God that nobody can take away. And what a concept, because in North Korea, we don't have that vocabulary of human rights. We don't know that we have rights as a human beings in North Korea.
You didn't know the word liberty,
Of course not.
or know the word freedom.
No.
Wow. So you read about America, you read the Constitution. I still read the Constitution today. It makes me well up because it's a document that doesn't say the government gives us these rights. It's a document that says, as you said, God gives us the rights and tells government you can't take them away. That is 180 degrees different than
Yeah.
who you were as a little girl. I mean, it had to be a concept that almost blew your mind.
Because in North Korea, government is our God. Our leader is a God. And here, government is a servant. Government is there to serve the people. And in
Yes.
democracy, people are the ones who are higher than government. And I think that's when I was very, very shocked to hear that for the first time how much rights and power that people had in America as individuals.
Yeah, but you know that better than most Americans, and I mean that. Most Americans think, and even Obama, when he was president, he said that the document is not a document of restrictions on government. He was wrong. It is a restriction on government. That's exactly what it is. And people try to misconstrue that and say, no, this is a document that says what your rights are and the government allows you to have them. It isn't what it is. It is truly about freedom. So we've got a generation of people that are about your age, millennials, even Generation Z after that, who don't understand what you understand. So how do we get to them? I mean, it must be really disheartening for you to see people about your age who are so confused about freedom and liberty.
I think that's why I wrote this book after graduating from Columbia. I literally at Columbia, I was confused some days because it exact anti-American, anti-capitalism, anti-free market, anti-individual, all these values were exact same things that North Korean teachers were teaching me. And then they were exact same things were taught at Columbia University by the professors.
I'm somebody who loves this country, and
Mhm.
what you told me already in this interview has already educated me. I think I know a lot about communism. I think I know a lot about no freedom and no liberty. I don't know anything compared to you, and I thank you so much for coming on and talking about it. But nobody's going to listen to me. I'm 56 years old. I've got daughters that are older than you, so they don't listen to me because they think I'm old school, I'm a boomer, or whatever it is. But they will listen to you. Are you finding that people are listening, or are people trying to cancel you now because you're telling the truth?
I think there's a two forces for sure. One force, like I was getting canceled by FBI. I
Wow.
I was invited to give a speech to them last year about the reality of North Korean women and how, what they're going through in China. And the head of diversity literally calls me 2 days before, says that they cannot have me as a speaker because of my political opinions.
Yeah, but
And
your political opinions are freedom is good.
exactly that I believe in the Constitution and what shocked me is how these people don't even know what it means to be American. I became American last year, last January, and I
Congratulations.
thank you, but I had to go through the interview process. And in my interview, the interviewer asked me this question clearly. Have you ever persecuted anybody for their political opinion? If I said yes, I could not become American. This cancel culture where persecuting people for their political opinion is a very un-American thing to do. These people should be stripped their citizenship away. And that act is committed by American government, FBI. They cancel people for their political opinions. And that's when I realized we don't have that much time left to preserve liberty in this country.
Well,
There's such
it would have been very easy for you to just stay an American and not be in the forefront and not be, on talk shows like mine. But you wrote the book because do you see us sliding into what China is, into what North Korea is?
Of course, I think sadly, I see this nation committing their own suicide right in front of me. And I have a son whose first breath was freedom. He was
Wow.
born in America. And, one book that really changed my life was reading George Orwell's Animal Farm.
Yes.
Right, in that book, especially the part where the first generation of revolutions they die, and then they remember the time before the revolution,
Right.
right? They knew the time before it all happened.
Yes.
But whenever there's young pigs and young animals come in, they don't even know life could be different. And that was a thing in North Korea. When people ask me why there's no revolution in North Korea, like, how do you fight to be free if you don't know you're a slave?
Yes. Exactly
And
right.
yeah, and I think that's happening in America. So many people don't understand what's happening and what they're playing with. And it's, of course, now this time, the problem is that when I was escaping from North Korea, I at least had a place to escape to. If America falls down, where are we going?
Nowhere.
We have nowhere else to go. I mean, this is the last hope, and this is the only hope for us.
It's
And
I want to give people the website again, yeonmi.com. It's YEONMI.com. Get her book. It's Yeonmi Park. Get While Time Remains, a North Korean Defector Search for Freedom in America. I love everything that you just said. I want to go back to something you said earlier that you weren't even taught words like freedom and liberty and stuff like that when you were in North Korea. In this country, we have an entire generation that's being raised to believe that abortion is reproductive health care, that changing or gender confusion is really it's gender affirming care when you mutilate children or stop their puberty. They're being told that Republicans are bad and they're the racists and they're no good, when in reality the history of the Democrat Party is the racist party. So they're being lied to. An entire generation of people in public school, in university, even at Columbia, where you went. God bless you for going. They're being told the wrong thing. How do we fix it? We've got millions of people who believe this garbage.
the only way we fight them is through the truth and I think personal responsibility. That in North Korea, to speak up against the government is like costing 3 generations of your life in North Korea. However, right now, us speaking up our truth costing us our livelihood and maybe our friends gonna leave us.
Yes.
But the consequence is not as big. And that's why I think there's a hope. Like if we get to the nursing level, it's really hard to overthrow the government like that because you really have to risk entire generations of your bloodline. However, the consequence is not as bad right now in America, and that's why we cannot keep getting pushed like this. And this is time for us to. It's okay that we have a right to think differently. It's a right to think, have even wrong ideas. I think that's why I was confused at Columbia. They're saying because we want a safe space, emotional safety, that we do not respect diversity of opinions. I was like, then why do you go to university? If you know everything
Exactly.
already, you don't need to go to university to learn anything, right? So,
Well, Yomi, this must be the dumbest thing that you've ever thought that you could see because, again, you're wearing the same clothes for years. You're washing in the river. You're sleeping on a concrete floor. You don't know the words freedom and liberty. You think that the dear leader is the race of people, and you've got idiots here looking for a safe space and a dog to pet at Columbia because somebody said something they didn't like. It's so completely backward. And by the way, there are people in this country that would like to kill you if you don't agree with them, like Antifa.
yeah,
They would love to take people like me out, or you.
right.
Thank God they can't. But they keep on burning things down and stopping businesses and shutting down speeches by people like you. So we know what the problem is, and I think more people are like you and me than aren't like you and me. But the loudest voices in the media, big tech, big sports, big Hollywood, big music, big academia, they're all on the left side. How do we balance it out? Do we write books like yours? Do we do interviews like this? Is this helping?
I think first of all, we have to do educate our children
Yes.
properly. We need to teach them right history and the facts and the logic, and your feelings never override logic and truth, right? Somehow this generation think that feeling is everything. If you feel that way, it's okay. It doesn't matter if it's illogical or non-factual. That is a very dangerous path that we are going into. So if we really educate our children, next generation, and let them know the value of freedom. So when I ask my classmates, like, why do you guys hate this country so much? What about capitalism in America that is so bad? And they said, like, look at there, like there are homeless people and there are billionaires. We have inequality in this country. And as a North Korean to me, like, what do you mean that you have right not to work? In North Korea, if you choose to become homeless, do you know what the regime does? They send you to prison camp and get raped and get tortured
Wow.
and get killed. Because the fact that we have a homelessness in this country means that how tolerant the American system is. That we let people be homeless and be irresponsible, and they choose to can do that. And then us having a billionaire in North Korea, like, would you rather be all equally poor and dying from starvation, or would you let somebody rise and create jobs and innovating things? The enemy is
Exactly.
not inequality; it's a poverty.
Wait,
They
wait,
got
wait,
so
you said something that is so important. I want to say it. I want to just bring it out again. We have the freedom to be homeless in this country if we want to be.
yeah.
And we also have equal opportunity. So when they say there's inequality, that's a lie. There isn't inequality. Now, there's inequality. You might have more money than me or whatever. That's because you've earned it. I have the opportunity to do the same thing. If there were inequality in this country, you and I would argue against it. We would say, no, no, everybody has to have the equal opportunity. But there is no equity. There is no, because Yeonmi has it, I should have it. No, we can both work to get it. And the fact that we have the freedom to not work if we don't want to, and to be homeless if we want to, it doesn't make it different that I have more money than a homeless person. I happen to earn what I have. Nobody gave it to me because they felt like it. That's the difference. They don't understand, do they? They want some sort of equity balance that is very socialist, and that's a slippery slope to taking away all freedoms.
Yeah, it's a path directly takes to the hell. It really is. Whenever you try to make everything equal of our opportunities, look at examples in history. That's how North Korea began. The idea that everybody should be equal, having not the opportunity but equality of outcomes.
Yes.
And when these professors at Columbia saying that we need to rebuild this nation in the name of equity and equality of outcomes, they literally asking to make North Korea come here and following that trajectory.
But none of them understand how bad that is.
Right, because they never been there. They
Right.
only been to America, and all these people saying they're gonna leave the country if Trump gets elected. None of my friends left America.
None of them did. They all
Yes,
lied.
exactly the hypocrisy of these people. And there are people dying to come to this country. They're dying to be free. And that's how all these people taking their freedom for granted because they don't know how good they have, and not having a problem is an actual problem. That's why they keep creating these problems. Now, somehow they need to identify some like 10 different thousand genders. Like, where is that problem coming from? I think
It's true. It's about confusing us. If we can confuse people, if we can divide people, like I'm a white guy of Italian descent, you're somebody who is Asian of Korean descent, they would like for us not to talk. They would like the Koreans to hate the whites and the whites to hate the blacks and blacks hate the Hispanics. If they can separate us also on income, well, Yeonmi makes too much money, I shouldn't talk to her. This person makes too little money, I shouldn't talk to him. Then the government has all the power. If they can divide us, the government can control all of us individually, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's why this dividing thing by the regime, by these politicians. America is so divided. When we are divided, it's perfect opportunity for dictator to rise. And in North Korea, why do we not trust our neighbors? Because the regime told us your neighbor might be a spy. They might hate you. And it's so heartbreaking that trust goes down in the country. And whenever the society has a low trust, that country cannot prosper.
It's so
And
true. It's so true. I mean, if you're afraid of your neighbor instead of talking to your neighbor, then you're going to go to the government as the power. This is why government also doesn't want us to work. They would rather that we're on some sort of an entitlement program because then they control our food, they control our travel, they control our clothing. Where freedom and liberty means I control all of that and you exist because I let you exist. It's Yeonmi Park, YEONMI.com. Go to our website, get this book while time remains. A North Korean defector's search for freedom in America. Just a couple of last questions, and thank you for so much time today. When you talked about tyranny earlier, I'm guessing you've read the Declaration of Independence.
yes, I have.
The part of the Declaration of Independence that people don't talk about, they always talk about life, liberty, pursuit of happiness, endowed by the Creator. They talk about that part. But if you read down lower, it says, if they ever want to be tyrannical again, we'll take them out. We will stop them from doing that. And we pretend like we don't know that. Like the Biden administration, in my opinion, thinks that it is the ruler of us. It is a mini Kim Jong-un. It's not. It is a government that is allowed to exist because we let it. And if we want to, we can take them out.
Yeah. Yep.
People don't realize that. They only read the first two paragraphs.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. Like countries like North Korea, that regime needs to be thrown away, right?
But you can't because you don't know of anything else.
Yeah, because we don't know the concept. That thing was never taught to us to think that way.
What do you tell your son? He's got to be completely. He probably doesn't believe your story. It is almost unbelievable. I mean, does he say, "Mom"? How old is he? Is he old enough to speak and stuff?
Oh, he's 5 years old.
So he probably. I'm guessing you're raising him to be free and liberated, but he doesn't know Mom's story yet.
No, he does not know my story, but he knows that he's half North Korean, obviously, in his birth certificate. So he knows about Kim Jong-un, and he's very curious, like why people are starving and why doesn't he not share his food,
Right.
And it's like, and of course I don't try to shock him or traumatize him, but
Right.
I try to tell him that world is not perfect paradise. There are bad people and there are good people, and world is a complex place. And I try not to shield him from all these facts and the trigger thing. Like I believe that my son is a lot resilient than anybody can ever think.
Yes.
And this is a problem of this generation where they don't understand how strong they are. I crossed the frozen Gobi Desert at 15 when I was like 60 something pounds.
Wow.
Not even like 30 kilograms.
How is that possible?
Yeah, I think, but the thing is, humans are that strong, we are that resilient, and they keep telling us that we are so weak that we cannot even handle few words, as if like we are made out of these snowflakes. They say, "Oh, you're so weak, we need to protect you." Like, no, we are strong. We can handle so much more. And I think that's what I'm trying to instill in my son. Let him know his potential. Let him know that he's a very strong person.
He's very lucky to have you as a mom, that's for sure. The book is called While Time Remains, A North Korean Defector's Search for Freedom in America. I'm so glad you made it. I'm so glad you showed your strength. You're one of the strongest people I've ever talked to. And do me a favor, come back anytime you want, okay, Yeonmi? Thank you so much.
I will be honored. Thank you so much.
It's my honor. We're back after this. Stay right here.